Thank you very much, Mr. Aghi, for being with us. How do you think this finally came about? The call that everyone was wanting, the call between President Trump and Prime Minister Modi?
Well, you have to understand that the temperature was too high for them to resolve the issue of tariff, especially the 50% tariff. And this was an occasion where the president reached out to the prime minister, and there was a lot of effort behind the scene as to should it be a tweet, should it be a call. And since the president was traveling to UK, he put a call to the prime minister and wished him a very happy 75th birthday. But more important is basically brought the temperature down by insisting that at least congratulating him and talking about why it is important the relation between the two countries, India and the United States, but more importantly, restarting the trade negotiation. So the effort has been put in by the president, and the prime minister has been very, very kind, in a sense, reciprocating in a very warm manner to the president, but at the same time opening the dialogue between the two countries as the trade negotiators start talking about how do you bring the tariff down to a reasonable level itself.
Right. What do you think happens next? The Indian Commerce Ministry has put out a statement. And in fact, the good thing is that both sides, both the US Embassy and the Ministry of Commerce, have called it a positive negotiations. Now, the Indian side has said that efforts will now be made to intensify negotiations and reach an early, mutually acceptable trade deal. How soon do you expect the deal to be announced now?
Well, we are not out of the woods. You have to understand, it is not just about a trade deal. You have within the White House a group of people who are not very supportive of this partnership. And you can see the announcements and statements coming out from them. You also have vested interest, countries who are neighbors who are not keen to have this relationship to move forward. So it is important to understand that it is just a starting point to be able to take this relationship back to the right direction. So while we manage all the statements and the negative opinion being cited by vested interest, it is critical that we are able to bring the tariff down below 25%, because it is impacting India's exports, it's impacting jobs itself. And from that perspective, I think it'll take some time. I know there have been statements made that it'll happen by October or November. I think we should not put any timelines to it, because it's important we set the right expectations and conclude it as soon as possible, because it does impact a lot of low-end exports from India, which creates jobs substantially. So I would say that let's tone down the expectations and focus on getting the job done.
Right. We also saw both leaders speaking about the Ukraine war, which I found was very significant. The Prime Minister said that India supports US initiatives for a peaceful resolution of the Ukraine conflict. The President said that Prime Minister Modi is doing a tremendous job, and he thanked PM Modi for his support in ending the Russia-Ukraine war. While the details of the talks and the negotiations so far are not in public domain, we can't speculate on it either. But do you think now there is an understanding in the White House that India is also doing its bit diplomatically behind the scenes to help end the war?
Well, if you recall, almost 2 years ago, the Prime Minister did make a statement to President Putin by saying that this is not an era of war. So the position of India was always a peaceful resolution. And somehow what we are seeing is that India got roped in by saying that it's fueling the war in Ukraine by buying Russian oil. Statements being made by Peter Navarro calling a blood money or Modi's war itself. India has always said that we need to find a peaceful resolution to the war between Ukraine and Russia itself. Now, as far as the Russian oil goes, this was in conversation, partnership with Biden administration to procure Russian oil. And I think that has gone on for the last few years itself. It has brought the oil prices to much more stable. It has given space to the European to basically procure from Middle East oil for their own consumption itself. So I think the Russian oil was an excuse to go after India by vested interest. And I believe now, as far as we're concerned, that the partnership, at least the discussions, are back on track. And we are hopeful that they can conclude it at the earliest time, because, as I said, and I keep on emphasizing, every day that goes by, there are a lot of people who are getting impacted on their jobs and orders from the United States. And we have to keep that in mind, that job creation and job saving is critical once we conclude this trade deal between the two countries.
All right, Mr. Mukesh Aghi, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure having you here on CNBC TV18 speaking about complex negotiations between India and the US.